There are 8 places where almost nobody cleans at home, even though they really should. You can find out why and which places these are in this video, with astonishing results. Number 1 is about a place you've probably cleaned before, but here I'll show you a much easier way to clean it. Something that many people still don't clean regularly is the extractor bonnet. Although you can see in my kitchen, a lot of grease and dirt builds up here, and you can actually remove this very easily if you know how, because all you need is a really good grease remover. I use the one from my shop. You'll find it linked in the video description below. We now spray it on all the areas where we had a lot of grease. The next step is to leave the cleaner to work for about 10 minutes. When the time is up, I grab a sponge and wipe over everything thoroughly. And as you can see, after just one wipe, we've picked up quite a lot of the stubborn grease here in our sponge. So we really only have to wipe over it well to remove everything, as the grease remover has already dissolved everything really well here. And in the end, the extractor bonnet is clean again, just as it should be. You probably clean your toilet regularly, but there is one place in the toilet that almost nobody cleans, even though it is actually very important. This is the cistern. To expose it, you should remove this push plate, carefully push it upwards and then pull it forwards. You may also have a different cistern that is not concealed. Then you can simply remove the cover at the top. If it looks like mine, make sure you remember exactly how you took it apart so that you can reassemble it later. If you're unsure, get a specialist or look in the instructions. We have to remove the entire push plate here to get to the inside of the cistern. Citric acid is ideal for cleaning this now. You can also find this in my shop, link at the bottom of the video description. We can use citric acid to tackle limescale in particular. This builds up a lot in our cistern because we never clean it, and of course the whole thing is flushed down the toilet every time we flush. This means that if you clean the cistern properly, your toilet will stay much cleaner. I use a mixture of 1 liter of water and 50 to 100 grams of citric acid, depending on how often you do it. Stir it well until the citric acid has dissolved in the cold water, then tip it into the cistern. Before you do this, however, you should flush the toilet once more so that all the water runs out of the cistern. Now quickly pour in the citric acid and wait until the remaining water has filled the cistern to the top. When this is the case, wait. Leave it to work for a good 1 to 2 hours, longer if possible. When the time is up, go back to your cistern and flush it again. The inside of the cistern will be much cleaner and you can reassemble everything as you took it apart before. Another thing that many people clean far too late is the drain. This is because a lot of dirt and hair naturally collects here. But instead of waiting until the water no longer drains properly every time, you should clean the drain regularly. These rods are particularly suitable for this because they have these prongs on the sides. If we now insert it into our drain, carefully turn it back and forth and then slowly pull it out again. All hair and dirt should stick to this part. It's also long enough so that you can get really deep into your drain. All the dirt that comes out can go straight into the bin. And you can prevent your drain from clogging up so quickly in future. Of course, you should regularly do the same with your sink drain. But there's another trick here that many people don't realize. Because even if everything looks clean from the outside, there is a place in your sink where a lot of dirt and nasty stuff has built up. If you pull out this plug, you can see that we have a screw like this in here. You can easily loosen it with a large screwdriver, for example, or with a coin. To do this, go directly into this slot and turn it anti-clockwise until you have unscrewed the entire screw and can remove it once. When I did it for the first time, I was a bit shocked at what I found here. Because as you can see, there's a lot of dirt and grime right under your drain. And only if you unscrew it like this, you can get to it and clean everything thoroughly. So give it a good wipe and rinse the whole thing thoroughly. Once everything is clean again, simply put it back in here and screw it back in with the coin. And your drain will be tight again. However, make sure that you put all the seals back in if you have accidentally removed one. Only then will be your drain completely clean again. And if you thought it was enough to clean your Hoover regularly, so replace the bag and filter, or if you have a bagless Hoover, simply tip it out, then you were definitely wrong. This is because a lot of dust collects in the front of the brush, which you can't see directly. To do this, you first have to unscrew the brush. turn it over and see which screwdriver you need to unscrew the screws here. Then carefully remove the upper part and make sure that you don't lose any springs or other objects that you will need to reinstall later. Here you can see what I came across when I unscrewed everything, a whole carpet full of hair and dust that has accumulated here over the years. So you can remove it, maybe clean the inside of your Hoover again and reassemble everything. Only then will your Hoover be completely clean again. Now, I have another trick for you on how you clean the inner panes of your oven with an ingenious trick. Because as you know, you can clean the outer disc, or when you open the oven, the disc that can be seen inside the oven. But there's another disc in between. And of course, you can't clean the two panes from the inside. But there is a really ingenious trick for this. Because you can remove your oven disc in no time at all. To do this, go to these two hinges and fold these parts forwards. Now take your door in your hand and close it almost completely. Now you can pull it out at the bottom and have it directly in your hand. This will also give you access to the inside of your oven glass, because if you place it carefully on a table, you can see that you can get it perfectly from underneath. However, the gap is quite narrow, so you need something to get into this small gap. This could be a wooden spoon, for example. If it fits in here, I used a thin cake server like this, wrapped the cloth around it and secured it with a rubber band, so that it doesn't just fall off. I sprayed it all over and then I go down in here with it. And so the inner panes of the oven are completely clean again at the end. For the next spot, which almost everyone forgets when cleaning, we need a knife and a paper towel. Because you probably clean the top of your oven regularly. So you think it's clean, just like your kitchen surface, which you wipe regularly of course. But especially if you have a hob like this one, where we have these little corners at the edge, a lot of dirt can build up here that you can't see directly. It's only when you grab a knife, wrap a paper towel around the top and apply a cleaner that you can see the full extent of it. Because if we walk along these corners around our cooker, we can't see all the dirt that still comes out. We have a similar problem under larger cupboards, but here too there is an ingenious solution. Grab a wooden cooking spoon or something else that you can put a sponge over. You should now cut the sponge open at the side so that you can stick the wooden spoon in really deep so that it stays in place. You could even fix it in place with some adhesive tape so that you don't lose it. And then we come to the area of application. It can be useful underneath cupboards, such as fridges, where you can't easily get underneath with a cloth. Wet it a little or apply a cleaner of your choice. This way, you can get relatively far under your cupboards and can also wipe further back, where a lot of dirt and dust accumulates over time, as you can see here with me. By the way, if you want to know why you should rub a candle through your joints, then be sure to watch the video linked to you at this point.